welcome everyone to this Friday evening's broadcast of an American fundraiser in Australia, coming to you live from Mollymook Beach in Australia, New South Wales. I'm so excited to be here this morning because this is your session for Q&A. I'm looking forward to hearing from you in regards to what questions that you may have. But before we get started, I'm sitting here in what I call Hibiscus Row, and I picked up these really great, cute little sunglasses in a pharmacy down the road in Ulladulla, and they are full of hibiscus on the side. So it is now mid to late fall here in Australia, and the temperature is unusually warm or at least I'm told, for this time of the year. But since this is your time to ask some fundraising questions and answers, feel free to just type them into the comments box. And as we go along, I will be watching that comments box to see what questions you may in fact have that I could possibly answer for you. So, Well, while I'm waiting for questions, I'm going to share a little bit around board development. I do webinars for a company called Charity How To, and as part of those webinars, I have a couple on board development. One webinar specifically for how to get your board engaged in fund development, and the other webinar is on how to have how board members can learn about their roles, so how to be an engaged board member. So there are two companion webinars that I hold. So as a result, I've been doing a lot around board development because I truly believe that board development, hi Kate, I can't see with my sunglasses on, but taking advantage of them while I'm here in Australia. So feel free to type in your questions in the comments box, and I will be sure to help to answer any and all that you may have. So while I'm waiting for some questions, I'm going to look at board development, and I think board development really is the be-all, end-all of having a highly functioning fund development program. And why do I say that? Because it all starts with the board. For me, the board or a board member's responsibility is one of the topmost responsibilities within an organization. And far too often what I see happen is that organizations will pick board members by what I call the warm body approach. So simply they'll say to someone on the board, they'll say, "Who do you know?" And they'll say, "Well, my neighbor, Bob Smith, would make a great board candidate. Okay, let's invite him to the next board meeting and he can join us." So there's really no thought put into what kind of board is actually needed, especially to move an organization forward within their mission. So one of the first steps that I highly recommend that a group take is to do an inventory of the skills and experiences and networks needed to move your organization forward. What do I mean by that? You have a mission, you have a vision, hopefully you have a strategic plan. What are the skill sets that are needed in order to move your organization forward? So who do you need on your board to help meet your mission? Hi, Zain. I hope I'm saying your name right. Feel free to type in your questions in the comments box and we'll take them. Otherwise, I'm sharing a little bit on board development, specifically on board recruitment and eliminating that warm body approach. So once you've identified, taken a look at the skills, I actually have a board composition matrix tool that I'm willing to share with you. All you need to do is just type in, go private message me here in the Facebook group, and I will send you that board matrix composition tool. And essentially what it does is it outlines, it's a form that you can use to fill in to outline your current board members, including their skill sets. And you'll see when you get the template that fund development has not just fund development, but there's strategy, there's fundraising events. So it really assesses where someone is at, what committees they're serving on, what networks they're involved with, and other pertinent things that you may want to know for your particular organization. Like the template that I will send out to you asks about church affiliation because I was involved with a religious charity. So you take that composition template and you put in, yes, you are welcome, just private message me, and feel free to shoot off some questions here because I'm here for you today. So basically what you do is you assess, hi Barth, you assess where you're at in terms of your current skill sets on your board of directors. The next thing that you need to do, and feel free to type in questions, I'm just filling some time here on board recruitment before we take some questions. So the next thing that you do once you've done this composition analysis is you need to determine, and you've identified the skills and experiences that you need to move your organization forward, your mission forward. Then you need to determine who's terming off of your board. So what board members' terms are expiring and whether or not they plan on continuing. And then the all-important question of performance. I find far too often that we do not focus a ton on board member performance. We don't do self-assessments. How many of us do self-assessments or do assessments of our board as a collective and board members individually out there, formal written assessment form? Very rarely do we do this. And so we really need to identify those board members who are underperforming and, quite frankly, have a courteous conversation with them, perhaps the board chair, to, if needed, to thank and release. And I'll tell you what, sometimes that's very helpful because I know I've sat on boards and I haven't had great attendance, and I was grateful when someone kind of asked me, about my attendance, and that kind of released me from my service. So sometimes you're actually doing a board member a favor. So once you've identified the skills and experiences to move your organization, your mission forward, you've done a composition analysis. And again, for those of you just joining, I'll share a composition matrix tool that you can have if you just private message me. You do that composition matrix to identify the skills that you currently have, who's staying, who's leaving on your board. Then you can go out and charge your board development committee or your board governance committee or your nominating committee. I highly recommend, and when I do this on the webinar, that you have a board governance committee, because really this is all about governance, and that's what board members really are here to do. They're not here to do management. They're here to govern the organization. So you task that to the board governance committee with the skills assessment, and they can probably even lead the process, and I would recommend that. And then they go out to the larger board. They ask the larger board for, possible candidates that meet these skill sets. They get all of the candidates' names, and then you actually do almost a rating and ranking to prioritize of those prospective candidates' names who has the skills, experience, and networks that you need in order to move your organization's mission forward. Once you have done that, you have a list of top priority prospective board candidates. Then I highly recommend that you do a screening interview. And I have a whole agenda on how screening interviews are conducted. And I actually surprise, but I'm putting together, if anyone is interested, a group coaching program. So it'll be done in like a Facebook group like this, and we're going to be focusing on board development each step of the way. So hi Kate, feel free to type into the comments box some of your fundraising questions. Doesn't have to be about board development, just happens to be the topic that I've chosen, but feel free to let me know what's burning in your fundraising world and how either myself or one of the other group members can possibly answer the question or assist. But I'm putting together a group coaching program for board engagement, and there's going to be a lot of accountability around that with group coaching calls, accountability emails, masterclass modules. So I'm really excited about that, and that's going to happen sometime this summer. There's going to be a beta test of it for about 6 of you who are interested in being a part of that group coaching session. The most important thing I say is, we would not hire an employee, a staff member, without doing some kind of, we would advertise, we would look for the person who has the best skill sets, so we prioritize our candidates, and we would do a screening interview. And then we'd go through the whole process of onboarding and engaging them in the work of the organization, and then assessing them through performance evaluations. So why would we not do that with the rest of our board members? Now, Kate here has a question. It says, "Hi, Robin. I'm working with a community neighborhood arts festival in Boston." Yay, Boston! I'm in Australia right now, and I'll be headed back to Boston very shortly in June. It's a revival of a formerly popular festival that fizzled out 10 or so years ago. We don't have a board, but have a committee of volunteers who remember the old festival and are excited to have it come back. We've launched a crowdfunding campaign and are on track so far, but many of our committee members are leery of sharing the campaign because they work for different nonprofits and don't want to take away from their own nonprofits. Beyond that, we're having the usual trouble of getting folks to do work beyond coming to meetings. What recommendations would you have about encouraging committee members to actually get their hands dirty and in sharing the crowdfunding campaign, helping us raise money when they work for other nonprofits? That's it's a great question, and I say that there are many organizations out there, and they all have different cases for supports, meaning, I get there's a lot of competition, but, also what your organization does is highly unique to what the other organizations are doing. And I don't look at this as competitive. I look at it as collaborative. And so I really, when people come to me with a question around competition and they won't engage, it really is about elevating community, and hopefully you're not duplicating services. So essentially it's about collaboration. So as I look at your question, popular festival, and really how can you think about incorporating perhaps in this festival? I don't know what kind of festival it is, but a formerly popular festival. Can you incorporate those other not-for-profits in the festival in some way, perhaps in their participation, so that board members will feel like, wow, my non-for-profit is going to be participating somehow, but the overall festival needs some support around that. I don't know if that helps or not, but that's some of my thinking. Again, do we have competition between organizations? Yes and no. Each organization has a clearly defined reason for existing, clearly defined mission, and obviously a clearly defined case for support for raising philanthropy. So I would say if it's a festival, how can you incorporate maybe other community groups? Maybe, get them involved, and maybe that would engage the other board members. It's an age-old problem around board members who say, well, I'm raising money for this organization and I'm raising money for that organization. And again, doing assessments and hi, Julie, feel free to type in your question in the comment box, any question that you may have around fundraising. But the age-old problem around engaging board members and giving to their organizations, is symptomatic of, not setting expectations in advance, or you don't have a board committee members, but not setting expectations in advance of what their responsibilities are. We would hope that board members or people who are involved in your organization would see your not-for-profit's mission as a top philanthropic priority, meaning that they're committed to that, and that happens by setting expectations up really in advance of any board or volunteer recruitment. And it's reinforced throughout the onboarding and orientation of those board members and volunteers. And you really want to select people who are going to be committed to what the expectations are. It's very hard if you're going out and doing fundraising or raising money for a festival or whatever it is, and your board members are not contributing to the cause, meaning they're not behind you. And so how can they go and ask other folks for a philanthropic gift? So very, very critical expectations start perhaps before you even recruit people to be on the committee. But I would say, yes, if they're actually working on the committee, then they need to do more than get their hands dirty. They need to help raise money, and they need to give as well. So I hope that helps, Kate. Please let me know if it does or it doesn't. But again, getting back to board development, I believe that board members hold the key to the organization. They are morally and legally and ethically responsible for the organization. And so why would you treat board development or onboarding of board members any differently than you would a staff person? In fact, I would argue at times and say that a board member probably has a much more significant role than a staff person, because ultimately they are the ones who are beholden to the stakeholders of the community. And board members are also beholden to the mission of the organization, and they're also beholden to ensure the financial sustainability of the organization as well. So very, very important role that board members play, and I think that is not articulated enough to board members, and that all begins with identifying prospective board candidates and setting expectations up in advance. You do that right before you even have a screening interview with them. You're sending your board members out packets of information that would also include what a potential board member's responsibilities and expectations are, and particularly around what their expectations are in regards to fund development. So I see a few more people joining us. If you have any fundraising specific questions, this is your time. I'm coming here live from Mollymook Beach, which is part of Ulladulla in New South Wales, Australia. For many of you who've been following me, I've been traversing across Australia over the last several months. And I call myself an American fundraiser in Australia. Next week, I will still be in Mollymook Beach, and in a couple of weeks, I will be coming live to you from, guess where? Fiji. Can you imagine? Fiji, becoming live from Fiji. Very, very excited about going to Fiji for a week, and then I'll be headed home back to America, to where I live, which is about 60 miles south of the Boston area. So I love these lives. I love your questions. And feel free, anyone who is still listening, the board composition matrix tool that I referred to earlier on during this live is available to you. Hi, Judy. Judy, if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the comment box and we'll get to them. But I'm giving away a board composition matrix tool free. All you need to do is private message me, and you can just I'll actually give you an Excel spreadsheet, not the PDF. So you can actually just take that and custom tailor that just for being an important part of my mastermind tribe here. And for those of you who may have missed, I'm actually starting a beta test group. It's going to be a group coaching session around board development and board engagement that's going to include weekly masterclasses, modules around board development, leading you through the board development process and holding you accountable through accountability emails, weekly group coaching sessions, and obviously some homework assignments that you're going to be given, as well as some Q&A times that I'll be in some office hours in a special private Facebook group. So if anyone is interested in learning more about that beta test program, it's only going to be open to about 6 folks because I'm testing it out. If you're interested in it's going to be at a special test price, introductory price. So I'd love to have, I'm building a mailing list of a select few individuals who want to be a part of that group coaching session. It's going to be about 6 weeks long. And we've got a lot of great content that we're in templates, and of course accountability and time with me and time in a group that we're going to be having. So I look forward to that. That's going to launch sometime in July. I have to go work on the exact timing of that now, but I'm really, really excited about that coaching program. And Julie says, thank you for being a part of this Facebook group. I don't see any. Does anyone have any more questions? And the reason I have these sunglasses on is because I've got some beautiful hibiscus plants that are ready to bloom behind me, and I picked up these awesome sunglasses with hibiscus on them because I like to have fun. I picked them up over in Ulladulla, so excited to have you here today. I don't see any more questions, so have a wonderful, right? It's Memorial Day weekend in the United States, is it not? We don't have Memorial Day weekend here in Australia. We have something called Anzac Day, which happened in April, but unfortunately I didn't have the day off, but I'm surely going to take off Monday for Memorial Day observance, even though I'm in Australia. So I wish you all a wonderful long weekend. How many of us need one of those? And I will see you back here next Saturday with another little mini training and topic focused on, I'm not sure what yet. I do have it written down, but I'll certainly, as you know, promote it midweek or so that you're all aware of what training I'm going to be providing. So have a great weekend, everyone. This video will be archived. I'm starting a video archive of all my Facebook Lives and other videos on my website for free. So if you missed one, feel free to go to my website at developmentconsultingsolution.com and go to the videos tab, and you will find them all there. And don't forget, if you missed any of my spring webinars, certainly you can buy them individually and watch them. And we have an infamous fundraising person who I learned how to do development audits from reading her book a long time ago, and that's Linda Lizakowski, who's going to be joining us this summer with her own webinar. She's going to be doing a guest webinar for me over the summer. Lots of fun things to look for. I'll see you next week, same time, here in Australia. You back in the States or wherever you may be, 7 p.m. Have a great Friday night and Memorial Day weekend.